You got busted. What's up? What's up? How's everybody doing today? Scott Jelinek here with the Master Investor Academy, and we are going to do a quick video for you today on the deal of the week. And so what we wanted to do is we're bringing Joey and Juliana on. How you guys doing today?
Good. How are you?
Hey.
And so we wanted to break down this last deal that you did. I want to start doing this a little more with people so we can get a better understanding of your deals. And how they came about and how it turned into dollars. And this last one that you did was a little bit unique. And that is why I kind of thought it was a great first one to do on the deal of the week, because you posted I think you posted a check and you said roughly what it was, but then we got several questions saying, well, how the hell do you do that? And I know the short answer is you can't do that. It can either happen or not happen. It's not something you can proactively do, but I want you to talk about it first off. So what I'm saying is they closed on the actual sale of a slow flip, but I want to take you all the way back. And I don't know when it was, Joey, Juliana, if you can remember when you first purchased this property, if you can start off with where you got that original lead from, what you paid for it, and so on and so on.
All right, so we originally got this lead from another wholesaler. Actually, long story short, Facebook Marketplace.
Nice.
It was a duplex in Craddock for $27,000, and I know the exact day I got it too. It was on the night of Halloween. It was on Halloween night. I was at a family member's house, and I had a few drinks in, and it was pretty late at night. She emailed it to my email, and I didn't get it till probably like 11 o'clock, and I texted her back right away and was like, hey, is this available? And I was only like an hour late, but it was already under contract already. So I kept following up with her for 2 or 3 days, and eventually the other person backed out, and I stole it. I snagged it at $27,000, and we probably closed like mid-November last 2 years ago, and that was 2019.
So you closed on it in mid-November. You paid $27,000 for it. You bought it as a slow flip. So did you borrow money or you funded it?
Yes, we borrowed money. We had the 5-year loan.
$30,000 you borrowed, 5-year loan, $667 a month. And so the person who bought it then was paying you since last November-ish, I guess, right?
So, yeah. So another thing in our check we didn't say, our buyer, he put down $6,000 when he purchased the house when he purchased as a slow flip. So he put down a large down payment as well. So he bought it from us at $6,000 down. He was paying $850 a month for the last 14 or 15 months while he was rehabbing it.
And so then he rehabbed it, his own expense. You guys have never been back to the property, never saw the house again, never did anything with it again, correct?
I've driven by it once maybe, and I've seen the work that was on the outside of it, but I was just like, cool. But yeah, we've seen the pictures on Zillow now, and it's a whole different house, but we had nothing to do with that at all. It was all our tenant buyer.
So he never occupied it or rented it out?
He was just invested. He told us from day one he wanted to rehab it, and I was like, okay, let's see what he does. And everything worked out perfectly. He was happy. We're happy.
So he sold it then, and I got 2 questions on this. So he sold it, and you walked away with a check when he sold it for? Come on.
He sold it for like $185 or something like that. I think is what he listed it at.
I want to say it was in the 140s.
No.
Uh-oh. We're going to have to research it. But while she's researching that, Joe, how much was your check? What did you guys walk away with?
So our check was $29,000 in change minus $2,500 in closing costs, around $27,000-ish.
Plus you made $6,000 from his down payment when he got it.
Correct.
So for this deal, which you did no work, you bought off a Facebook Marketplace, and you've never had to go back, never saw it, didn't paint one wall, didn't hammer a nail, just put somebody in on the slow flip method. You walked away with a total of about, what do we got, $33,000.
Yeah, a little bit over $30,000, exactly.
Not too shabby. That is a fantastic story. I absolutely love it. So you also commented when you sold yours, now we're down to, how many slow flips do you have?
We are at 11 right now.
You're at 11. So you had 12, and now this person actually closed on it. Yeah. So it's interesting because people have 2 different philosophies on selling. When one of their properties sells, some people hate the idea that it's sold because now they're like, oh, I'm losing a property. Now I want my properties. I want to have as many as possible, and now I'm losing one. The flip side to that is you buy at wholesale, sell at retail or near retail, and you didn't do the work. You didn't do anything to it. So there's no downside to it. There's no negative way to look at it. So Juliana, I'm assuming you found your paperwork, or not even yours, but how much the guy sold it for?
Yes, $157,000.
So he sold it
40.
So do you know, have you been friendly with this guy? I know you said he was coming over today. Has he told you how much he ended up spending on rehabbing?
No, we didn't ask him.
Yeah. He was in and out. He had a rush to go, so he was in and out in the moment.
But he apparently did well on it. I can only assume he bought it for what? How much did he buy it for? 60, 70?
I think I know his proceeds too. He got 27,000. So we both kind of made the same, actually, about the same. That was his proceeds of it.
It's interesting because that almost goes back to the whole wholesaler rehabber scenario. When people, sometimes I'll wholesale something and I'll make 20 grand and then the guy I sold it to will make 30 grand. And people are like, oh, why didn't you just do it yourself? You would have made 50, right? I'm like, no. Let him make his money. You guys did right. You could have done all this and you did absolutely right. You got paid every month. You didn't have to do anything. You bought it off Facebook Marketplace, which I love. You didn't even find it from a hot lead. You got it off the internet and turn around and sold it to somebody else. And total, I think your total profit is right around $33,000, including your down payment from when he moved in. That's absolutely fantastic. So, so you're now looking again, I'm guessing, for more slow flips. Now you're down one.
Always are. Always looking.
Always are. So what is your, we'll get off the house for a second. What is your ultimate plan? What is your ultimate strategy with the slow flips?
So this past year, obviously, has been a little challenging for us. We're trying to be double where we're at this year. We're at 11 now. We want to end 2021 with 20 now.
20. I think that's absolutely reasonable. Yeah, I think, and I could be wrong, and I'm sorry, I just cut you off, Joe. What were you saying?
Oh, yeah, we just want to continue building up. We want to be at 20 by the end of this year.
So I could be wrong, but I personally think we're going to be in an incredible slow flip market coming up real soon.
Very soon.
One of the strategies I think is going to be real effective, and you may want to think about this yourself. I feel that there's probably a lot of older landlords, and by older, I mean the guys who are 70, 80, 90 that have been doing this for 40, 50 years, who might be over it right now, just over it because of everything going on with this no evictions. They've been doing this 40 years and they have a routine. We put somebody in. If they don't pay, we know what to do. We go to court, we put somebody new in, and it's been a process for the last 30, 40, 50 years. And now all of a sudden the government's saying, nope, sorry, you can't kick them out. You can't do anything. And they don't need the money anymore. And so I have a feeling there's going to be a large amount of people, older guys, who are just going to say, screw it, somebody take these. So something to think about, something I've been thinking about is how we can specifically market to them. And I guess we can pull lists, say we want to make sure they owe 10 properties or 20 properties or a certain amount so we can buy in bulk. But also we want to know they've owned them 40 years or 50 years, a long time.
Yeah, okay. And
it's something interesting that I think is going to be a big opportunity on the horizon coming up. So Juliana, what do you have to say?
So Joey was away when I was having to handle all of the paperwork and back and forth. So it was definitely an experience learning how to figure all of that out, because I think even the title company really didn't even know what was going on, because we didn't use Gunther, we used theirs, which was a mistake. So I would definitely always say, always use Gunther. Seriously, they are so amazing.
And it doesn't even have to be them, not to say not to use them, but whoever you are using so you control the deal. It's when you start going to other people's attorneys, all of a sudden they don't even know what the hell's going on. And they don't know who you are. They don't know what's going on. Because this is a great example. In this scenario, you're technically the seller because the deed was still in your name, but yet this guy renovated it and sold it. So tell me about that. That's a great thing you brought up. How did the HUD look? Were you listed as the seller?
So yes, I was. And it was really weird at first because they were trying to be very informal with cutting the checks. And they just wrote up this little thing about how much money I would get. I was like, no, we need to have it. So it probably pushed it back 2 or 3 weeks because they could not figure out what to do. But I had to be the seller. So I was the one. And then they just listed that he had to pay off me on the HUD and then what he was getting also. But I was the one that was the seller.
So for anybody who's watching and doesn't understand what exactly a slow flip is or what she did, they sold this property on a land contract, on a contract for deed. So then the guy who bought it renovated it and resold it. So when he sold it retail though, so he sold it on probably on MLS, listed it, sold it, got a retail buyer. So now that contract goes to the attorney's office. They pull up title search. Well, he doesn't technically own the property. He's a contract owner. You guys came up as the actual owner. So, it depends on the attorney. Sometimes they want us to do a contract with him and then he redoes it. Sometimes they want to change the contract directly from us to the end buyer and then have him as a line item on the HUD. But it's pretty interesting that he was able to, and that's the benefits of buying on a land contract. He has all the rights as anyone else that owns a property. He has the right to rent it. He had the right to renovate it. He has the right to sell it. And he has the right to the profit that it made. And you guys got exactly what you agreed to get from the very beginning, which is a score in itself. You bought it for 27 and sold it for, I'm guessing, around 60, 57, 60.
Yeah, it was.
I want to say 63.
Yeah, it was
63.
Yeah, so there's no downside to this. I absolutely love the story, and it happens infrequently with slow flips, and that is why I think you saw you posted it in our group, and somebody said, I didn't know I can do that. And, like, how do I do that? I didn't know I can do that. And the short answer to that is you really can't. It's nothing that we can proactively do. We're selling them the way we sell them. We sell them with owner financing, fixer-uppers. Some people move into them and live there. Some people fix them up and rent them out. And then some people, as you just got blessed with, renovate them and resell them. But it's nothing. We can't force them to do any specific one strategy with each property. So congratulations on that. That's absolutely fantastic. Now tell me one thing. Tell me one thing you'd like to share about the whole process, the whole deal. Something you thought was fantastic.
I don't know.
Want it all?
Yeah, I honestly thought the coolest thing about it was that it was his first rehab, and it was our first situation like this. So it was a lot of firsts for each other, and he just kind of got into real estate too. So I don't know. That was my favorite part, that he was able to have such success with his first, ever rehab, and that we were able to help him do that. That was my favorite part. What about you? You can't say the check.
I love seeing the after photos of when I saw because I remember seeing the property for the first time when it was still boarded up. There was a big hole in the roof. The windows were shattered. When we went for the first time, Juliana punched a hole in the window just because she was bored, and she's like, so she punched a hole. It probably cost him like another $100.
Good job.
But anyway, so when I saw those pictures on Zillow for the first time, I was like, wow, he put in serious work. It's like, obviously it's a whole different house. Like it was almost the point where it's being torn down. It's like now it's a fully renovated. It looks amazing, and I can tell it's the same house. I was amazed.
I love that you say it was his first deal too, because that's something else people don't realize when we sell on the slow flip method, that we're presenting an opportunity to them as well. Like, this guy may not have had any other ability to fund the deal. And that's probably why it took him so long. He probably actually did the rehab out of his own pocket instead of using lenders and getting everything funded. He probably actually did it himself. And then he didn't have to come up with a mortgage to buy the property. And you guys got 30 grand, 33 grand from Facebook, from you being proactive. And I tell people this all the time. That's not a life. You can't make your living on Facebook, although you can, depending on how small you live. But it's not your life. It's not your entire business. But you got time every day to peruse for 10 minutes and see what you see. And I got one recently, and I think I might have told you, I might not have. I was only checking on somebody else's ad. One of our girls who put out her own ad for selling her property, I was making sure it was coming up right. So I was just trying to find her ad so I can see what she put on. And while I was looking for her ad, I found a property. And I was like, oh, this is good. And I sent him a message, and we're working on the deal. And I was like, wow, I wasn't even purposely looking on Facebook. What are you going to say? Were you working on that same property?
No, that's exactly what we do all day, every day. We just find the deals on Facebook, on Craigslist, and we go from there.
Yeah, you're already there anyway. It's on your phone. You're holding it in your hand. That's 33 grand because you were holding it in your hand anyway, and you took the time to actually send a message and say, is it available? And then, most importantly, she told you it wasn't available. So what'd you do? Followed up. Yep.
I keep telling you, I literally harassed that girl for days. Like, I 5 times a day I would text her, like, did they back out yet? Did they back out? Because she was saying it was pending still. They never said it was signed. Nothing was signed. And I don't know if we didn't say it yet. We got a second deal from the same wholesaler while I was away. It was a $5,000 deal from a Newport News house, a Newport News SlowFlip, I believe.
Yeah.
But it was the same wholesaler someone else the first time. She comes to us for all of her deals now. For her number one buyer. So
fantastic. How do you beat that from Facebook? You absolutely got to love that. That is awesome. And it's not just meeting somebody, but like you guys did, and coming through, doing everything you said you're going to do. That other guy who had the contract first and backed out,
never go to him again.
She may have the best deal in the world, but when he messages her, she's going to be like, delete. Nope, sorry, delete, delete. So coming through makes all the difference in the world, because people know you're going to do what you say you're going to do. They have all the confidence to go with you as opposed to somebody else. There are times when someone else could offer more, and they're going to be like, well, I know they're a sure thing, so I'm going to go with them, instead of waiting a month just to find out this guy flakes out.
Exactly.
All right, any last words before I let you go?
I think we're all set.
All right. Well, I thank you very much for coming on. I just wanted to share that deal. What'd you say, Joe?
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to share the deal because I think a lot of times people see us and we're like, hey, look at my check. And nobody knows actually how the check came about. And so I decided I wanted to start doing a little more of that when we got people getting checks for 10 grand and for 80 grand and for 40 grand. And it's always nice to see the check, but I think it's a little bit more impactful if we can go all the way back to the story of all the way from the beginning of where the lead come from. How did it come about? What did you rehab at wholesale at SlowFlip it? How did you go about selling it? And what presented itself to ultimately get you a check? So I think that's a great idea to start evolving more than just showing a picture with a check. And we can actually talk about the deals to give people a lot more insight as to what exactly is going on.
Yes.
All right. Yes. All right. All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for coming on. And I will see you soon. Have an absolutely fantastic evening. Talk to you shortly.